Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're having some people connect online still, some trustees and one more trustee on their way. So I'm going to give a few more minutes. If you want to grab a cookie or a snack and talk amongst yourselves, feel free. We'll start in just a few moments.
Just waiting on Mary.
Can you turn the engine off? Thank you.
Hi, Penny. We can hear you.
I thought I was still muted. I guess not. I heard you and that's it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming again. We are going to go ahead and begin our meeting. Is my microphone's not working? Is it? Okay. Yeah. Can those of you online hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can't see you.
Thank you. And those in the audience, testing. Can you? No? Okay. Okay, one moment. We'll get it worked out here. If those online would mind muting yourselves until you're ready to speak, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Nothing in the audience still? Okay.
My mute is not coming up.
I'm gonna try yours. you can see.
Test.
I can hear yours. I could hear yours, I thought. Can you hear him? Okay. Testing.
Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Testing, testing.
Testing. Testing. Testing. Yeah, is this working? Can you hear me? Testing? Yeah? What about, ooh. Okay, so I can be back a little bit. He'll probably fix that. You good? Okay, thank you so much. Well, thank you all for coming. The Personnel Committee has forwarded 3 finalists for the position of Executive Director of FVRL. Unfortunately, one of the 3 candidates was unable to continue in the process. Tonight, we'll be spending our executive session interviewing the 2 remaining finalists. I want to welcome Justin and Jennifer. Their bios and feedback forms are in the back, so feel free to take their bio sheets and a feedback form. We encourage you to fill the form out and leave it in the box at the table before you leave tonight. Next, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? I move this to a vote, please.
Bikram Katwani,
Yeah.
Megan Dugan,
Aye.
Henny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Olga Hodges,
Aye.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
Marianne Duncan Cole, then Christy Morgan.
Aye. Motion passes. Next, we would invite each candidate to introduce themselves to you. In no particular order, we'll start with Justin Keeler. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, everyone. It is very gratifying for a number of reasons to be standing up here in front of you this evening. First, I would like to thank all of you for your interest and your presence tonight. Public libraries are one of the fundamental cornerstones of our democracy. We are a great equalizer in our communities, and to know that so many of you are here and out in virtual land paying attention to the events tonight fills me with hope for the future of public libraries, and in particular Fort Vancouver regional libraries. You all have my biography, so I won't spend time reading from it word for word, but a little bit about me. I have worked in libraries since 1997. I began in libraries as a circulation clerk at the University of Wyoming Library. And it was there that I began to develop a real appreciation of the support that a well-run library can provide its patrons. The organization and the way that that information was accessed was very revelatory to me. In 1999, I received a position as being a shelver. in the children's department at the Denver Public Library. And it was that job that put me on the path of being a librarian. I worked 40 hours a week, side by side with 3 other full-time employees, doing nothing but sorting books and shelving cart after cart. I wore out 3 pairs of Carhartt jeans in 1 year. I was in the children's department on my hands and knees. But it was that really inspired me and brought home to me that public libraries are crucial. And the thing that really spoke to me was being a part of a hardworking team with shared goals, shared values, and a vision of community service. It was that just galvanized me in wanting to work in public libraries. And yes, we were just shelvers, but we kept that department running. We had 40 carts a day, at least, between the 4 of us to shelve. And it was through our efforts that we were able to keep things looking ship-shape for our patrons. But at the Denver Public Library, it's a large urban library, very similar to Vancouver, this branch, but a little bit larger. And every day I would come to work and I would see all walks of life filling that building, going about their daily business to achieve their goals. We had daycare students coming for story time. We had people coming in and researching how to start a small business. We had people coming in and meeting with attorneys for programs. We had teens coming in and actually doing homework on occasion, but also socializing. And we had people every day, just like we have here in Vancouver, coming in to building to be safe and have a warm, quiet place to just park their bodies. There is no other institution in this country that does what public libraries do. I think we can move on. I just have 3 slides and I just want my notes because I have a lot to say over the next 2 days. I am a servant leader at heart. I've worked for FVRL for over 17 years, leading others to achieve great things and bring the values that form the heart of public libraries to bear in my community is my life's work. This is what I do. This is all I have done since I was a young man. I have been the one at FVRL that has consistently done what nobody else has done. Managed 2 branches, contrary to the current staffing model. Yes, I will give it a try. And we did it successfully through teamwork, through collaboration, and by me finally learning how to delegate and know that I don't have to do it alone. Head up a new division. The first Fort Vancouver Regional Library Outreach and Community Partnerships Division was formed 7 years ago. I was the first director of that division. We went from a ragtag conglomeration of 4 independent departments doing great work, brought them together, built a solid team to evolve the way that Fort Vancouver Libraries looks at outreach and partnership efforts. I stepped in to support the security team here back in April during a particularly trying time in the life cycle of this branch library. When the opportunity or the invitation or the requirement to act as interim executive director came my way, I thought about it for a day and I said, I will do it. Somebody has to lead this organization, and it was me that made the choice to do so. In my regular life, I live in the center. I've raised 3 children in the center alongside my wife. I've served on city council. I'm on the planning commission, which is way outside of my depth, but I'm there trying to learn as much as I can. I was the board chair of my children's school in Battleground. I was the president of the La Center Music Association for a number of years. I'm just telling you this to help you see my commitment to the region, the communities that I serve. I care deeply about where I live, who I work with, all of the communities that make up FVRL. I care so much about FVRL that while running 2 branches and helping to raise 3 children, I made the decision to go and earn my master's in public administration. Then that would not have been possible, of course, without the grace and the support of my family, my wife in particular. I did this not out of a desire to climb the ranks at FVRL and become the executive director. I did it to give myself the skills, that I needed to be of the most service where I'm at right now. That is, I think that's about it for this slide, Elizabeth. So if I were to be honored with the position of Executive Director for Fort Vancouver Regional Libraries, I have 5 priorities that I would like us to pay attention to over the next year. And these are commitments. They are not promises. I cannot promise that I will be able to deliver on each and every one of these items. But these are the things right now, after serving the position for 10 weeks, where I would choose to focus my energy. First, the physical safety of our staff and our community members all around the district, each of our locations. We are in a challenging environment that is rapidly shifting. I want us to pay attention to doing what we need to do as an organization to develop a security and safety philosophy for the district, to help provide our security team at our larger branches the support and the autonomy, the discretion to act on challenging behaviors without fear and without bias. I want us to consider developing and formalizing a structure for our organization that would provide for the ability to have more localized programming, more localized outreach and partnership strategy, and more localized collection development within reason. I want to spend as much energy and time as necessary to building relationships with our trustees and with the foundation. I would like us to work on finding our shared values, where we are in alignment for each other, because I know we have them, and I know that we are all here for the betterment of our communities. I want to work on morale within the system. This is a very hard nut to crack. We are a large system and we have a culture, and it is hard to identify, and it is hard to know where to make necessary adjustments because we all swim in it. We breathe it. It is the air that we breathe. I want us to figure out how we are going to institutionalize our value of working with each other with empathy, dignity, and respect. That is internal, and that is how we show up for our communities every day. And that is how I feel we need to begin showing up for ourselves here within the walls of the district. And I want us to make good on our promises to the communities of Woodland and Washougal. We are well on our way in Woodland. We're getting ready to break ground there, and that is wonderful. But we also have other commitments out there that we need to go after. So my hope is that as Woodland gets moving, as we start to see the groundwork laid, we can work with our foundation to pivot our attention from raising funds for Woodland to focusing on Washougal. So I've talked enough. We should let other people have the mic, but I would like to, again, thank you for your time being here today. It means so much that you took time out of your lives, away from your families, away from your jobs, to spend your evening here with us. I want to thank the staff of FVRL for their support over the last 10 weeks. It has been galvanizing, and it has really shown me how strong and resilient this organization is. We have been through a lot over the last 5 years. We continue to go through a lot, but that I was able to step in, start learning a new job on the fly with all of you behind me has meant so much. And I want to thank the trustees for their service to our system and our communities, and for affording me the opportunity to serve my organization in the way that I have over the last 10 weeks. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin. That's really loud. Jennifer, whenever you're ready.
Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so great to be with you. And like Justin, I really appreciate a full room, to take the time to invest in this very important decision for this library system means a tremendous amount, and very fortunate that the board also has invested so much time in this process as well. I'm extremely excited to be here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that through my presentation. But before we begin, I have to tell you that I flew in a couple days ago to adjust because I live on the East Coast, as far away as you can get pretty much. And just to adjust to the time. And you had some beautiful weather over the weekend, as you know. And now I'm more accustomed to this in the Northwest. So thank you for bringing it back today. Next slide. So before we get into all of that, I was born and raised in Michigan and spent many years there. I think about 34 years there. And prior to, well, I was born and raised in Saginaw, Michigan. I won't hold up my hand, but probably you know that, right? That's what we do there. And then I moved over to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and spent many years over there after college. I went to Aquinas College for my Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. And then later went to get my master's in Library and Information Science from Wayne State University in Detroit. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I did that. I was working at Kent District Library, which was a newly formed district, an independent district just like this, that had split from county government, and they hired me to be their finance HR director. My background was in finance and HR prior to coming into Kent District Library. And one of the first things that I got to do was a compensation and classification reform. Really a lot of fun. They hadn't looked at job descriptions in over 20 years because they were part of county government. And so if it said clerk, it could be clerk at the court, it could be clerk at the library, and it really wasn't applicable. So one of the best things that happened in that process was I got to go out and shadow all of the different jobs. And that is where I fell in love with the public library. And so at the time of working at Kent District Library, I was actually in school to get my master's in public administration. And I went to a library conference and had an epiphany to bloom where I was planted. And I went back home and re-enrolled in school in Detroit. And at that time, you didn't have online classes. So I had to drive 2 hours each way a couple times a week while working full-time as a finance HR director. Best decision I ever made. And I've been in libraries now over 25 years. And I can truly say that I am truly blessed to be part of such an important institution in our country and in our world. And even more so today as we go forward. I won't go through all of, that other information. You can read that yourself. But if you go to the next slide. The experience there is from the most recent to Kent District Library that I noted. But prior to my work in libraries, I worked in nonprofit and a Fortune 500 company in finance and HR. And that's when I made my way into Kent District Library and into that role. And it was at Kent District Library, as I said, that I determined that library school was where I was going. And this was the career that I was going to have. And so since that time, I've worked in every size and shape organization. The smallest up there is Fremont Area District Library in Michigan. It's one location that serves 13,000 people in a rural area. To the larger locations such as Seattle or DC, which are 26 and 27 location facilities. At Library Systems and Services, for those of you that are not aware of what that is one of the only private companies in the country that provides managed library solutions for cities and counties. So I was the chief library officer for close to 5 years, managing libraries across the country. We had 80 locations and 1,000 staff. And I spent 70 to 90% of my life on the road, visiting libraries, meeting with cities and counties, meeting with library staff, etc. that really was great because it allowed me to see again every kind of issue you can imagine that comes up in libraries and in communities, different structures, different ways of doing things. And so while that isn't always a popular organization for public librarians, it certainly, for me, I invested my public library expertise in making sure we were handling things to the best of our ability. And we had public librarians, I think something like 140 public librarians that invested their time around the country providing the same services that all of the other public libraries do. I have been a member of professional organizations my whole life. Those are current memberships, but I also like FVRL, it's a member of the Urban Libraries Council. They only have organizational membership, so individuals don't join, but I was through many of my organizations very involved. In fact, I facilitated the deputy director group for many years for the Urban Library Council. And when I worked in Seattle, I was sent to study libraries with the Urban Library Council in Europe. A wonderful opportunity. And I got to meet lots of people, some of which are why I got recruited to different jobs after Seattle. So I've had a great career, but I will tell you, the best part is working with all the people. It's the library staff day in and day out doing what they do, committed to great customer service, intellectual freedom, accessibility, making sure everyone feels safe and welcome in our spaces, going outreach, out in the community, making sure we are doing what we can to involve as many people as possible in providing the best services that we can. I think that I bring a lot of business acumen to the position, but also I am a staunch public library advocate. I've gone to national, state, and local stakeholders, elected officials, et cetera, to make sure that legislation or fundraising was happening. And also I've worked with many foundations, a Seattle Public Library being one of the best foundations I've ever worked with that raised 188. Now I don't have that number on the top of my head, but millions and millions of dollars for their Libraries for All campaign, where they rebuilt all 27 facilities in a 10-year period. Quite a feat. So I learned a lot there working with the foundation. Next slide. A few career highlights. I probably won't go through each of this, but one of my proudest moments was working with the staff in the Jacksonville, Florida Library to be selected as the 2017 Florida Library of the Year. They had never received that award. That was a very prestigious award that brought so much pride, not just to the staff, but to all of our support groups, our Friends of the Library, our foundation, and even our 19-member city council was thrilled about that award and put it everywhere. And we got that award because we implemented a new makerspace in the main library. The main library had been built and opened in 2005. And this was several years later that I came on board and restructured that library and made room for a makerspace on the first floor. Now, when some people hear makerspace, how many of you have heard of a makerspace? Not everyone, but most. A lot of people think about technology, right? 3D printers and laser cutters and those kinds of things. But we also, up there, you'll see the young lady playing the pink guitar. We had guitar lessons. We had painting classes. We had an art gallery where it was all about local artists and curating shows with the local artists to engage the locals back into their downtown library. Just the way that Jacksonville's structured, it's very spread out. It's the largest city by land mass in the country. And because of that, a lot of people go to their branch library, but hadn't come to the main downtown library, which is the largest public library by square footage in the state of Florida. 365,000 square feet. And so we really wanted to make sure that those buildings were being well used. And so by engaging with different interest groups in our community, writers clubs and artists, and having artists in residence in these gallery shows, we saw people coming in that hadn't been in that building since it had opened 10 years before. And so it really was special and did a lot. But Project LEAP, Library Equal Access Program, was a grant-funded initiative to take programs out into the community that were all literacy-based, from early literacy to digital literacy to adult literacy, including both GED prep and career online high school. Very successful. It was grant funded for, I believe, 3 years before it finally made its way into the permanent budget, that the city saw the great work that was happening. So very proud of that. I'll just move on to the end there, that basically I've worked with in or been associated with 185 library locations in my career. That's a lot, and that shows that there's just so many wide varieties. And I've seen all the ways that libraries change lives every single day in very little ways and very big ways. And it's really important as a librarian that we are about creating as many opportunities and access for every single individual in our community, and I'm committed to that. Next slide. Why am I interested in the Fort Vancouver Regional Libraries? Well, here's a few reasons. One, you're an independent district. That's attractive to me. I've worked in one before. I've worked in every kind. I've worked in municipal, county, individual or independent taxing districts, etc. And to me, this is one that's very attractive. We're not competing for dollars from police and fire. I love police and fire, and I want them to be there for us whenever we need them. But from a budget standpoint, it can be very difficult year after year. And the other thing is the urban, suburban, and rural areas. You have it all. So I love that. And I saw that today, and I'll see more of that when I go out on Thursday to finish the branch tours. But that is very attractive to me personally. It brings a lot of opportunities, challenges, and just plain service options for us. So very excited about that. And when I left Seattle, I left because I was recruited to DC. And it was after the Great Recession. I had to cut $6 million in 2 years up in Seattle. That was very tough. And so I went to DC, but you know, I've always loved the Pacific Northwest. I have friends in all across the West Coast here. And so I'm really looking forward to that. I love the great outdoors. I love hiking. I love the water, you name it. If I'm not at the library working, I'll be outside. You can find me outside. And, you know, I learned more about this today firsthand, the dedicated staff team here. I've read about it. I've seen the great work that they're doing as I've read. But today I got to meet so many, and you have such a dedicated team. Everyone was so generous with their time and their smiles and their welcomes, and I really appreciated that. And of course, the great services. Stable funding, because you do have your own taxing district. That's very important. Will you ever have all the money in the world that you want? No, no one does. There's still a budget and resources that we have to allocate to the best of our ability. But you also have your support groups, the foundation, the Friends of the Library, and also go after grants, which that's a big thing for me, seeking as many grants as we can to further our strategic priorities. And this is a good time to come in for the next chapter. I'm your next chapter gal. You know, we're going to wrap up the current strategic plan and roll out and launch a new strategic planning process. It's time to have a master facilities plan put in place. Lots of forecasting work, lots of really engaging with the community, making sure we hear what's needed, what's wanted, etc. I've done many strategic planning processes. It's probably one of the favorite things I get to do because I like like to have all of the community engagement sessions. So I love to talk to people. I love to hear what you're thinking, etc. Whether we agree or disagree, I still think it's important that we hear all voices. And those are a few of the reasons why I would like to join you here. And I hope I get that opportunity. Thank you so much. And I look forward to mingling with you later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to both of you. We would like to invite you all to stay for the meet and greet while we conduct our executive session. Again, don't forget to pick up the bios in the back and the feedback forms. Make sure you fill those out and get them in the box in the back so that we can review them. The Fort Vancouver Regional Library District Board of Trustees will now meet in executive session to discuss personnel as allowed by RCW 4230-110. The Board of Trustees will be in executive session until 7:30 p.m. The Board of Trustees is not expected to take further action following the executive session. Yeah, executive session for 3 hours. Yes. Thank you all. Can those who are online hear me? No one online? Thanks. Thank you. I'm going to call the regular session or the special meeting back to order. You said there's no one online, not even the other trustees. Is that correct? Okay. All right, we've concluded our executive session where no action was taken. The setting for the next regular meeting is Monday, October 16th, 2023. It will be hybrid and in person at List Center Community Library. Could I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Any objections?
Seconded.
Any objections? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming.